founder of RMI Laboratories, a contract research laboratory that opened its doors January of this year. We focus on providing qualitative services, primarily metabolite ID, and in fact RMI stands for Rapid Metabolite Identification. Okay. The work we're doing is based upon methodologies that I helped develop as part of a core team within DMPK in Merck over the last several years, based around accurate mass technology. And what I'd like to do today is talk about two concepts related to metabolite profiling. The first one is, why do we need to use accurate mass for doing metabolite ID? I would argue that you should only be using accurate mass for doing metabolite ID. I'll go through four particular reasons. The first one, parent ion specificity. So let's say you're seeing a +14 ion in your spectrum. You can't, if you're using a normal mass instrument, differentiate between a methyl conjugate or the formation of a carbonyl. In accurate mass data, that's 36 millidaltons different. That's a trivial exercise to be able to differentiate immediately, just from the mass spectrum. Fragment ion specificity. The fundamental step in decent metabolite ID is being able to interpret your spectrum from your parent. If you're using normal mass data, between 1 and 5% of the time, you will misassign one of your fragment ions by thinking it's part of the molecule when it's actually a different substructure part of the molecule. With accurate mass, that does not occur. If you're misassigning what you think this fragment is, you're then misinforming your medchem colleagues about where the biotransformation is taking place, and that will lead to delays in the development process. Analyte versus matrix specificity. In the work we're dealing with in small molecules, we typically have compounds that are higher as far as the number of saturations, or containing elements such as oxygen or halogens that are mass deficient relative to the endogenous material at the same nominal mass. Therefore, the data mining is much easier using accurate mass data than using nominal mass data. The way you address that with a normal mass instrument comes to my fourth point. Frequently, I'm talking about triple quads here, you're using parent ion or constant neutral loss technologies and approaches to get the specificity you don't have inherently. But they are 10 to 100 times less sensitive than doing full scan MS. So you automatically get 10 to 100 times more sensitivity relative to some of the technologies that we have been using in the past, just using full scan MS, accurate mass. So these are four reasons why I'd argue that you really ought not to be doing metabolite ID without accurate mass data. Second concept is, we've tended to think of metabolite ID as this big monolithic process. It actually logically divides into 5 different tasks. Sample generation, whether that's via dosing or via in vitro incubations. Actually acquiring the mass spec data. Data mining that data to identify what is really a metabolite as opposed to false positives. Interpreting that data to identify what the biotransformation is and where it is. And then interactions with your project teams to actually make use of that information in a meaningful way. Last year, my former colleagues at Merck and I produced a paper in RCM where we described the approach we'd taken there, where we'd effectively internally outsourced, if you like, doing tasks 2 and 3. Those are actually the 2 tasks where you get the biggest bang for your buck using accurate mass approaches. There are other ways that you can actually slice and dice your metabolite ID process. To date, in the long period of time that I've been in business so far, most of my customers have actually looked at us providing this type of paradigm, including some interactions with project teams as well. We are not a virtual company. That is actually the mass spectrometer that will be a year old, at least as far as our lab is concerned, next month. And if you have any questions, I'm here, or contact me at RMI. And thank you.